So we talked a little bit about governments that are subsidizing hybrid and electric vehicle development at all levels of the supply chain. Delphi has been a recipient of some of this. They're encouraging localized HEV engineering, production, and intellectual property. In the U.S., that's been the incentives, that's been the Recovery Act, it's been Department of Energy technology programs. In Europe, they have same things, incentives, grants, R&D support. And in China, of course, their vehicle incentives, their 863 program. They also have some interesting things that are barriers. They're proposing foreign investment industry catalog where in order to sell into China, you have to, and get credit for the sale of the vehicle, the incentive, you have to basically, the products and parts on that car have to be made by a majority-owned Chinese company. So it's causing some interesting business relationships to pop up. So all of this has benefits and risks, and there's clear benefits out there that we see. There's an acceleration of the supply side and technology development. It should push lower prices to consumers. It could help jumpstart sales of vehicles. It drives the installation of infrastructure with some of the demonstration in advance of sales. But it is also a little bit unnatural. And when you do that, you can create a bubble. You can create overcapacity. And right now, if you're a battery manufacturer, you got to think about where you can sell your batteries. The government is giving you a lot of money, and you've got a plant set up, and you're going to build batteries. Who are you going to sell them to? You can also lock in investment too soon on immature technology, and it would be obsolete before the mass market. Remember, the mass market is past 2015 and 16. So if you're a battery technologist like Dell is and some others, how fast is the technology changing, and did you just build a plant that is half obsolete? So that is a concern. And then also, if you do infrastructure deployment and demonstrations, is that infrastructure going to be rendered obsolete by evolving standards that are still emerging? So when we do these plus and minuses, right, we always got to be concerned about the benefits and also the risks. But here's an interesting chart, and one of my colleagues put this together, and being an engineer, I just love multi-dimensional charts. And the top part of this chart is fuel price per gallon versus miles driven. And there's various curves that you see in this chart, waves, if you will, up through here. The risk of doing something crazy here, we'll drag the little hand across here. But as you go up to the right, that is basically the HEV or electrified vehicle cost premium. So you could sit there and say we're at $4 a gallon, and it's about $3,000 on cost to get a hybrid or electric vehicle. What percent of the market will buy that? Well, the good news is if it's down to $3,000, about 50% of the car buying population in the U.S., and that's the curve at the bottom, would be able to afford and economically break even in buying a hybrid vehicle if they, and it's, again, the bottom chart a little confusing here, but it's the population versus the miles they drive. So the more miles you drive, the more effective in a year, the better your payback. So this is a little chart looking at payback. So bottom line, at $4 a gallon, the cost premium for an HEV has got to be $3,000 or less in order to attract half the market. And if it goes much higher than that, which sometimes, depending on the architecture of that vehicle, or an electric vehicle, which is off this chart in terms of its incremental premium for the same functionality of vehicle, there's a very small percent of the market that actually economically can justify it. Now, we all know that people buy cars for a lot of more reasons than just economics. Some people like the fact that they are driving a green vehicle and they'll pay a premium for that. If you've ever driven one of these vehicles, they're really neat and fun to drive, so there's an upside to that that's beyond the economics. But the mass market is going to turn on based on cost. And that's really the technology cost is really the issue here as we go forward. So we look at it as that's the challenge, but it's also the solution. Technology, whether it be battery chemistry, power electronics, powertrain architecture, et cetera, and the business volumes are really the things that are going to turn this market on. We pretty much know how to do these things and have known how to do them for more than 20 years. Here's what Delphi's doing. We're working with industry and government partnerships on a path to reduce the cost of power electronics and the parts that we make. And if Mr. Owens is in here, I'm going to basically say the DOE is wrong. There's more opportunity for cost reduction in this side of the business, and you're going to need it, and not only in the electric drive part as well as in the battery pack side. We've been on a path to take and go from a cost structure that the bar on the left represents as 100% of the cost of power electronics and take it down to about 45%. And we're on that path and can achieve it. In fact, I'd like to challenge the battery industry to keep up. The other areas of this is we're continuing to work with the Department of Energy and the national labs to ensure a continued flow of technology. Work in terms of gallium nitride on silicon power switches, high dielectric constant capacitor materials, advanced magnetics. We have a number of partners, including Purdue University, IUPUI, Argonne, Oak Ridge, National Renewable Energy Labs, General Electric, Dow Corning, International Rectifier, and Infineon. So we put together a pretty good partnership relationship, as nobody can do all this themselves. The other thing that has to happen in this mass market is it's going to evolve. And this is a little bit different chart here. If it's in kind of three phases going across. The early part of a market is when you have a few number of suppliers, the specialty providers. Many people will want to enter this market. You're trying to design for functionality and develop the technology and show what it's doing. Your cost is high and your volume is low. And the market has kind of moved from there over the last 15 years. We're kind of in this phase going from 2 to 3 right now. And in that part of the phase, the cost is coming down, the volumes are starting to go up, and our design priorities now are differentiation, enhance the value. We're still doing custom engineering for specific applications, and we're trying to form supplier partnerships and consolidation. But to really make this market go and become a mass market in 2015 and 16 that it has to be in order for these fleets to get the CAFE they need, we have to move this to a design priority of more of a commodity. And so our effort at Delphi is trying to move in that direction. You got to get cost, and quality are all given, but you've got to integrate building blocks and have product families. You must get to large scale. There'll be few big suppliers that will survive this, and you've got to get common work that you can sell to multiple OEMs. And that's the real challenge for the supply industry, is moving from this phase 2 to phase 3. And that's going to be one of the interesting challenges. We're doing that. We're trying to develop these solutions, whether it be inverters, battery packs, controls, integrated systems globally. We have a global manufacturing footprint that we put in place because we see the market emerging across the world. And Indiana, as you can see there, is kind of our core for power electronics, controls, and commercial vehicle systems and battery packs in good old Kokomo, Indiana. And one of the things that we want to show you here is being a Hoosier-centric company right now. Is our Delphi Morgan Street operation. It's actually a cost-competitive North American power electronics facility. It is our new gem on the block. It's just opened in January of 2010. We're already building production out of this plant. We are very thankful for the federal, state, and local economic support for this, and it's a wonderful facility. So if you come to Kokomo, let us know. We'll take you out there and show it to you. But that's kind of the key as we go forward here. So in summary, we think the market's going to emerge. It's going to be more hybrid vehicle and plug-in hybrid than electric, although the basic technologies are there. Stimulus and economic conditions are going to create an ebb and flow of the market, but the long-term trend is still there and clear. And the real challenge, we believe, is lowering the cost to enable mass market adoption. And Delphi, with its public-private sector partnerships, is trying to address that challenge. So thank you very much.